If you've heard it once, you've heard it 1,000 times. You've got to eat your greens. We've heard it, from teachers, nutritionists, doctors, magazines shouted out from newsstands. But why? Why are greens so important? The thing is, they are packed with nutrition. Pound for pound and dollar for dollar, they are one of the most nutritionally dense foods that you can put in your cart at the grocery store. So we're going to talk a little bit about why that is, how to choose them at the grocery store or pantry or farmer's market, and how to prepare them simply so that they can go into a wide variety of meals throughout the week. What makes greens so nutritious? First of all, there are a lot of different kinds of greens. When you go into the grocery store, at least the one near me now, there's sort of this wall of greens, which really makes me happy as a cook and someone who's preparing food for my family, but it can be a little bit overwhelming. I've had clients ask me, it doesn't matter whether I eat kale or collard greens, or should I be eating more cabbage? Does it matter if the cabbage is purple or green or white? And I'm here to tell you that the great thing about greens is that they broadly share a very similar nutritional profile. They're all very high in fiber. That's probably the number one thing I can communicate with you. They're a great, great, great source of fiber, which is really important for our bodies for a number of reasons. And then greens, they vary in their amounts of these vitamins and minerals, but they all have them a little bit. So there's a lot of vitamin K in greens, especially on the darker side of the family. There's vitamin A in some, and some are really high in calcium. If you're thinking of cutting back on dairy products, or if they don't agree with you in your digestive system, some of the things you might be concerned about are calcium and vitamin A. Greens are a great way to get some of those vitamins and minerals into your diet. When I teach cooking, I often make sure to emphasize that herbs are in this big greens family. And I want people to really think about fresh herbs, if they're available to you, as a source of not only flavor, but also fiber and other types of nutrition. Mint and cilantro can really bump up a salad and really make you really crave it and want to eat more of it. From a culinary perspective, the fact that greens are grown and enjoyed in cultures around the world is something that is really exciting to me. And when I work with clients, I sort of talk about it as a passport into nutrition. Whether you want to experience a new cuisine or eat flavors that remind you of home, greens are a great place to start. So when you're at the grocery store or the farmer's market or the food pantry and you're trying to select some greens to bring home, the main thing you want to make sure is that the leaves are sort of sturdy and vibrant and not that wet. Sometimes when greens are more tender, especially, they start to get a little slimy. If there's just a few little sections of kind of slick parts on the leaf, it's not a big deal. You can just cut them off when you get home. But if you open it up and a lot of the inside is kind of wet, those are going to go bad really quickly. So unless you're planning on cooking them right away, you might want to put them down and find a bunch that has a little less of that moisture. Other than that, you should just try new versions of the greens that you have. So if you know you love broccoli, try broccoli rabe. It's a little bit more bitter, but it has a lot of the same textural contrasts as broccoli. If you like cabbage, regular cabbage, why not try some other versions of cabbage like bok choy or napa cabbage? They can be used in very similar ways. And the same thing goes for these greens. So if you love collard greens, give kale a try, or curly kale. You really can't go wrong. Once you get your greens home, most greens do best stored in the refrigerator, especially if you're going to take a few days to use them. All greens, everything you bring home from the grocery store or farmer's market, should be washed really thoroughly before you cook with them. And if you buy packaged greens, which are really common and you found sort of everywhere, just read the label really carefully. Some greens say that they're washed. It will say pre-washed right on the label. Others won't be, so you want to make sure you wash those as well. If you're going to store them in the fridge after washing, make sure you dry them really well so that they don't start to break down and sort of get slimy on you. But other than that, they're not that fussy, and greens love to be cooked in a variety of different ways. One of my favorite ways to make a lot of greens at home is to saute them. I take a combination of greens sometimes, so collards, kale, even beet greens, and I chop them up to roughly the same size. I add them to a saute pan with a little bit of oil and some garlic, and then I usually add a little bit of some sort of acidic or spicy flavor at the end. That could be a squeeze of a lemon, some vinegar, like red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar, and I also often include chili flakes or hot sauce to spice it up. And I take that large batch of cooked greens and I put them in the fridge for the week. And I incorporate them into other dishes, like eggs in the morning, on the side of a grain bowl. in a taco. I love the feeling of opening up the fridge in the middle of the week and seeing a big container of greens that I cooked earlier, ready to be used in a million different ways.